Howdy. Hope y'all had a good Thanksgiving day. I am here with my truck today at Wired by Greg. Now, Wired by Greg, his name is Greg. He does stuff like this. And these crazy vehicles with just insanity amounts of lighting and just all this dope stuff. He's like the wire master. He's like the wire king. And I got a couple free lights off a buddy, and he's just like helping me hook them up. I had a couple connectors, brake, you know, stuff like that that just happens to my my thing. But I'm gonna take you guys on this little journey here, getting these lights put on. Maybe we'll ask Greg a couple questions about lighting, and hopefully you guys learn something. Here we go. Those are the lights going on. These are the lights that were already on, but this one was broke and not hooked up, but Greg fixed that. These are flashers from another life. Don't worry about that. Those are unhooked now. But here's my very dirty truck. And this is Greg. Hi, Greg.
What's going on? We're fixing some stuff, we're adding some stuff.
Fixing, primarily, because
Training the new guys.
we're training the new guys. So how long have you just got this shop, right?
Yeah, so we've been in the shop now about 6 months. It's much nicer than working in the driveway. Yeah, it's kind of home number 2. So yeah, this is working out really nice. So a lot of the people were saying don't move away too far from the house, but it's Fullerton, so not that far.
No, not too far. And to get good wiring done, people travel from a long ways away to come here, yeah?
Oh yeah, I mean, we've got Colorado, Texas. I have a guy in Alberta talking about coming in. So yeah, we get guys from everywhere.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna get these things wired up here. And you know, I don't know what they're gonna do. Greg gave me some tips on where to point these. They're replacing my Flex Era 4s that are now on the motorcycle. And I'd love to get those back because it was such a rad light. But this is what I got right now. My buddy gave these to me, and Greg's helping me wire them up. So yeah. So the main problem was with the Flex Era 4s, I have this it's 3 wires. So the reason for that is on the Flex Era 4, there's a backlight going on the whole time. But this one is just this kind of janky, you know, like just a 2-wire light. So he's got to take a 3-wire connector, turn it into a 2-wire connector, and it's electricity. I don't want to catch things on fire. So that's why I come to him. But what we are looking at doing is putting some lights up here and back here, especially when I'm at the range. It would be really nice to have lighting like right down in here. That would be an awesome thing. So we're chatting about that. Got to figure out the system for that, but that's probably to be continued. I got to order lights and all that kind of stuff, but maybe we can go have a conversation. So for me, I control all my lights with this guy right here. This is the Switch Pro, and I've got 8, but I only am using 4 currently right now, and it's mounted up here nice and clean. But the Switch Pro, it's an awesome thing because I can make it do different things. Like, for example, some of my lights, my 2 outside lights, turn on when I turn my fog lights on. So it's like an additional fog light. So it's like kind of hooking up to the fog light, which is a really cool thing about the Switch Pro. If you are thinking about lights on your vehicle, when you start budgeting for this, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you right away, think about getting a Switch Pro, or what's the other company, Switch Pro?
S-Pod.
S-Pod. I got a lot of friends that use the S-Pod as well. They're both rad units. They got things on the apps, you know, on your phone. You can turn them on, turn them off, and I have that on this. I just never really do it. So it's a great thing to have. It cleans everything up quite a bit under the hood. You don't have a whole bunch of wires. All your wiring is going into one kind of harness, and then it's being controlled from there by a controller in the car. So you don't got to put in a bunch of, you know, non-factory switches and drilling holes and stuff like that. So yeah. Yep. Yep, yep, yep. Now we're going to point these lights because I have no idea where to point them. So the master here is going to point everything for me.
It's pretty simple. We just want to make sure the beams don't like overlap each other, and there's not like a large hot spot. So a lot of guys just put lights on their cars and then they just have a big hot spot. We want to use as much of the light as we can. So, and then try to make it as flat as possible so we're not like introducing a ton of glare into your vision. So cool. So those three are much wider than they were.
Okay. Oh, what's up? What's up? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Greg.
Yes, sir.
First time people, a lot of the folks following my channel, some of them might be like, you know, psycho overlanders with like, you know, 100K builds and stuff. But like most of my friends, from what I'm seeing, they are guys getting into hunting, generally a pickup truck, something like that. And they're like, hi, I want to put lights on my truck. Where do you tend to steer people towards right away in the beginning?
I mean, we need to look at the vehicle always. So like, to me, it's like getting the vehicle in, we have to point out where you're already at negative before we start making positives. So like checking out your battery source, making sure there's no loose connections, general maintenance. So that's normally the first thing we do on every vehicle that comes in the door, just to make sure that we can add equipment safely, and we're not going to put you in the hole right off the bat. So just checking out the vehicle is what we do. So if you need a new battery, we have sources to get you a battery. We try to keep everything in-house. So normally if I make a recommendation, it's something that I can do for you here. So power source is the #1 thing for us, and then we want to know what you're trying to get out of your vehicle. A lot of shops you'll go to and you just want to slap some lights on it. But if I know the style of driving you do and the style of camping you do, then we can recommend a brand or a specific light that's going to fit your need best. Then we go into switch systems and control panels and stuff like that. So if you're coming in the door and you're just looking for fog lights or maybe some ditch lights, we could do a standard toggle or a switch button on it, and you're not going to have to really break the bank. But if you come in and you immediately want, you know, a fog light, a ditch light, a scene light, a rear light, a light bar, then our automatic recommendation is going to be for a control system. So we can make things a little bit cleaner under the hood for you. And it just snowballs from there. So,
what do you see people going with right away as far as lights go? Like, for me at least, when I've recommended, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I've tended to push people more towards fog lights in the beginning. Like with my wife's vehicle, you know, she's not off-roading or anything like that, but she is driving in the snow. She's driving in whiteouts, things like that, where that was what got me started down the rabbit hole of lighting. Was I ended up in a couple whiteouts and I was like, this sucks. And my neighbor's Jeep had copious amounts of lights on it, and I'll just never forget following him down the hill, just how much safer he probably was than I was. Like I literally felt like people couldn't see me.
correct.
I was worried about that, and then I was worried about seeing in front of me as well.
It depends on if you want to modify the look of the vehicle, or factory integration. There's a lot of companies that make some nice factory integrated lights, which is pretty much plug and play. We'll use your factory wiring system, save you a couple bucks. But yeah, having a good forward light for even day and nighttime driving, so people coming at you in whiteout can see you, it is a must-have. So fog lights is going to be my go-to. Now, if you want to stay DOT or SAE compliant, different brands make lights that are going to keep you in the legal spectrum. Most of the times, I just tell people, if you are upgrading a light, just use your brain, and if don't blind someone coming against you. So SAE is great. It's not normally my number one. To me, it's put the brightest light out as you can and just use good judgment. You make a good point on rear visibility. Pretty much nobody knows about that, or if they are using it, they're probably using it completely wrong. So rear visibility is probably just as valuable as front visibility. For a guy driving down the highway, probably rear is not so much needed, but if you tell me, hey, I take a FM or a maintained road in the dirt to get to my cabin, having a rear pointed light is probably just as beneficial as having the front one. So yeah, a fog is a must-have. That should be your first upgrade once you've got through everything. Now, if you have a lighting control system like an S-Pod or a Switch Pro, you can dim that light. So you can put the brightest light in your fog pocket, and as long as you know you're on the road, you have it dimmed down. Of course, depending on who your police officer is, he's going to make judgment. But like in Big Bear, most of the guys that I talk to say, hey, I pull guys over and I just let them know that they're blinding everyone. So if you have it on a control system, you can dim it down to the lowest setting, and when you really need it, you turn on the firepower.
Yeah, my experience with police officers, and my neighbor's been pulled over a few times, that's for sure. But he had like a ridiculous amount, and he was full blast, and he just hadn't hit it, and the guy saw him, spun around, and pulled him over. But it is annoying sometimes, guys driving up the mountain and they got like their light bars on. But I think in those snow, or especially the whiteout conditions, I'm like, cool, I can see you.
Right. Yeah, I mean, as long as you're using good judgment, I don't see any reason why not. I've been, going from Pioneer Town to Big Bear on a FM road where people that live locally are coming down the road, and I've had bars on, and we just kick the bar down and kick the bar back on once they pass. Mm-hmm. Again, if you're using good judgment, I don't see any reason why not. You can't drive. You shouldn't be driving around Newport Beach with your 40-inch light bar on, but we see it. So ditch lights all the time. Rock lights, I'm not sure the legality of it, but I roll down the highway sometimes with red or white on, not strobing or flashing, but you look at all the semi-trucks, they have it for good visibility, but I guess for every instance there could be you just got to keep in the back of your head, hey, am I blinding someone? And if you think you are, turn them down.
And are there a lot of good, like, for example, I'll use my wife as an example. We're getting her a Range Rover Sport, and I want better lighting on her vehicle. She's like, I don't want, but she's thinking like the Jeep kind of thing with like, she doesn't want lights everywhere and whatnot. Correct. That's kind of where I was like, no, I've got this guy, his name's Greg, he's going to do it, and we're going to do it right, where it's not something she notices aesthetically, because she likes the look of a Range Rover. Like, correct. That's why she's buying a Range Rover. Like, she likes the sleek lines, the elegant kind of Rover. But for me and her driving up the mountain, I want something that where it's giving her better lighting and safer lighting in those, whether it be dust was one that we had recently on the 15, but then obviously snow and whiteouts going up the mountain. Are there a lot of good options out there for someone who's like, oh no, I just got a Subaru, or I just got a Toyota Corolla, or I've got this, I don't need all that light? Do you find it really beneficial, and are there a lot of options out there that can...
Yeah, you can go with basic bulbs too. There's a lot of companies that make nice bulbs that keep the factory appearance. But there are some companies that are out there that are making aftermarket mounts for things. I don't see anything wrong with having two nice auxiliary lights on the front of your car. You put covers on them. If you don't like the way, if you don't want them to say the logo, then you get them wrapped to color your car, and then on the street you don't even know they're there.
That's a good idea.
So. A lot of guys are running the license plate frame mounts, and then they put two lights on top of them. You just got to keep in mind, if the license plate frame is bolted to plastic, and you can jingle it pretty easy. If you grab it and it moves around, keep in mind when you get on a dirt road, then your lights are going to be doing this too. So if you are going to mount auxiliary lights, you want to find something that goes to the frame, so you don't now your light out in front of you is not becoming a bigger issue than not even using it at all. So hidden light bars are a great way to do it. So if you buy something that's powerful enough to shoot through your grill and hit the road, that's a great option, but you can't clean it. So when they get dirty, that buildup on the lens actually becomes, you'll lose 10-15% of light output just because you have covered lens.
I never thought of the cleaning aspect of some of that hidden stuff.
Yeah.
But there's companies out there that make things that, like I've seen with some of the stuff you put in with the Baja Designs, I've seen some like flat surface kind of lights where it just sort of flush mounts into a bumper or
Correct.
a spot where there was their version of a floodlight,
Correct.
But it's now you're getting an actual,
Yes.
like, legitimate light.
Yeah, and then you want to make sure when you pick your lights that you're getting the light for that purpose. Like generally a spotlight is not what you're going to want with a fog light. You're going to want a flood or a mixed combo lens. A lot of manufacturers have specific lenses that they do, or they run a combo lens. It comes down to manufacturing if the companies allow like a cover versus a lens swap on it. So again, it comes down to when you walk in the door and you're talking to someone that's knowledgeable about the equipment. That's why we use our trucks a lot. So we use them in the dirt. I've been at nighttime many times, so we know what certain lens and certain lights do. So when you go to a shop, like don't let them sell you out of a laptop or a catalog. Like you actually want to talk to someone that is the end user as well, so they can put the right light on it. So we don't do an install, and then 3 weeks later you're like, well, this is not doing anything for me, or I'm driving the highway and it's pointed up to left, up to the sky, left field. So that's why we do pointing our lights every once in a while. So yeah, it comes down to going to a shop where the guys know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and for people who aren't remotely somewhat close to you, I mean, anybody on the West Coast, I pretty much tell them about you. What should people look for in finding a reputable shop?
First thing is, if you know what brand you want, call the manufacturer. The manufacturer will recommend people that are certified sellers, retailers, installers. And now, if that's not an option, most car audio shops nowadays are selling some type of lighting as well. So if you walk into a shop and they don't even know what you're talking about, or they got to look it up, you might want to go somewhere else. But first thing is, call the manufacturer, ask them, hey, this is where I live. Do you have anyone certified? Even if they don't have certified, sometimes guys know or can make recommendations. But I have a lot of customers that, hey, I'm not driving to you from Florida. What's your recommendation? If you send me an email at wiredbygreg@gmail.com with a picture of your vehicle and what you want to do, and if you're in an area, I mean, regardless if you're in an area or not, I'll take my time out of the day and I'll kind of tell you kind of what I think you should be putting on your car. All the manufacturers, you can purchase from them direct, and they'll do a pretty good job of helping you out. I mean, they're not going to walk you through the install because of liability reasons, but with YouTube and Google search, you could probably find a quick and easy way to do the build.
Yeah, I know that from the motorcycle side. I've been like, hey, how do I put this on a bike? And they're like, nope. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, I'm not saying it will or won't work. I'm not going to comment. And I'm like, oh, fine, okay.
Yeah, so yeah, we do a lot of custom stuff. So a lot of people ask, can you customize a mount for any situation? I feel like I can. We have the capability here. We do our fair share of welding. So yeah, I mean, if you have an idea where you want something, but first I'd look for the plug and play options. And the reason the plug and play options work out the best is because the companies make the bracket. They invest a lot of money into them. They've pushed them, so they know what the output of their lights are. Because once you start customizing stuff, it's you can go to a shop, spend thousands of dollars on something custom, and if it doesn't work out the way you initially thought, you're wasting a ton of money. So yeah, the fog light option, you can do a replacement bowl. You can go with something high powerful or a little more high powered that'll give you a better view. But custom is always great too. I mean, you see a lot of companies, but there's NFAB. There's bumper companies that make brackets that go out front that will allow you to do a bunch of lights. Or if you got a welder, you can try to make things happen yourself. So.
Yeah, that me, pretty much.
Not a problem.
So how do we get a hold of you? Actually, I'll put all his information in the description below. Your Instagram. Are you on the Book of Faces?
We are on the Book of Faces.
He's on the Book of Faces. He's on the gram. I'll put his email in there as well, so people can stalk you via Gmail.
Perfect.
But yeah. Thanks for being here, bro. Thanks for your help
Hey, no
today.
problem. Thanks for coming
And
today.
can't wait to see what we do with the. We got some gangster stuff happening to the motorcycle coming up.
Oh, yeah.
And now I know he welds. He's screwed. He's screwed. Here we go.
Do the most since they paid to see a show. Got the South overflow, yeah. If I gotta do it, I'ma do the most. Watching me to take no, raise a toast to the goat, yeah.
Well, here's the lights. Thank you.
What happened?
High five. This are the new lights. What do you think?
Oh, I like it.
They're bright, yeah?
Refreshing.
Yeah. So here's the lights. I mean, this is the side view. It's a lot of light, as you can see. I'm on kind of a downhill here, so not angering the neighbors, but yeah, this is awesome. This is the way right here. This is definitely the way. So, and then Greg, here, I'll show you guys this inside. So my boy, he hooked it up here, okay? So we got this here, right? So this button here, he made all on, all off. And then I have my A-pillars, which are those. And then my floods, which are those. And then my spots. Whoops. A-pillar, and then my spots, which are those. Okay, so I can turn them all individually here. Or I can hit this and it turns on everything. Or the cool thing is, if I double tap here, it goes into flashy, like, anger mode. Wired by Greg, you are the man. Guys, hope you enjoyed this little educational tour of lighting, of lights. And I'm trying to find good lighting here. There we go. Hope you enjoyed this educational tour of lighting and lights and all those things. Check out Greg at Wired by Greg. I'll put all his information down in the description below. Follow him, check out his Instagram. His Instagram is like amazing off-road builds and crazy stuff that he's always doing. So, and if you're remotely anywhere close to Southern California, he is definitely 1000% the guy to go to. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. God bless. See you next time.
I'ma do the most since they paid to see a show. Got the South